Hi, I'm Norm Williams with Advanced Building Materials, a company that is dedicated to the promotion and education of high-quality construction and renovation products. I wanted to produce a show where manufacturers had an outlet to discuss the unique products that they make and the benefits that those products bring to the construction and renovation markets. Welcome to Building with Advanced Building Materials. I recently had the opportunity of sitting down with Jeff Wand, Head of Business Development for Hahn Plastics, a company dedicated to producing recycled plastic products for the agricultural and construction markets. Their products include recycled plastic porous pavers, ground reinforcement solutions, decking, and recycled plastic profiles for the construction of deck frames. They even have their own line of outdoor commercial furniture. So let's listen to what Jeff had to say about Hahn Plastics and their product lineup, and thank you for watching. Thank you very much for taking some time and dedicating today to talk about Hahn Plastics. I'm probably going to throw these questions out a little bit in some different order and everything, but maybe just to start off, if you could just talk about Hahn Plastics, the company a little bit itself, and the products that you guys do offer.
Sure. And maybe I should just preface this by saying that I've been with Hahn for close to 7 years. So it's been a lot of fun to see the growth of the company in North America since I've started. But just a little bit of background about Hahn and what we do. So the company was founded in the early 90s. Our head office is in Germany, and we now have numerous offices throughout Europe and now here in North America. But in stating that, we've been around for quite a long time, and we've seen growth happen in all of the markets that we've worked in. We focus exclusively on manufacturing products that are made from 100% recycled plastic, and we make nearly 2,000 products, and that encompasses a very wide range of industries and potential applications. So one of the exciting things is that because we've been around for so long, even though the products are still relatively new in North America, they're actually old and established, and it's a nice position to be in that in North America we're introducing people to these for the first time, but yet we've already got a long history of them being used in various applications and various weather conditions, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I've always found that products that come from Europe, they just seem to be like maybe 10 to 20 years ahead of time to North America in itself. So it is funny because you will always run across products in the construction industry, and then you'll say, oh, wow, that's so new. But like you say, it's been in Europe for so long. So
Exactly.
Hey, of the, like you mentioned 2,000 products, but I know it's a very big lineup that you guys carry, but how many products in Canada would you guys represent? Like, would it be the full product line, or?
We do have access to our full product line because, kind of maybe what you're alluding to your point, the fact that we make so many products, we actually don't typically stock every product here in North America. Now, that being said, we can bring in, anything that someone wants, but predominantly in North America, we might stock close to 10% of our products in varying degree, depending upon their level of demand and how many customers that we have for them.
Yeah. Okay. You alluded to the point earlier that you've been with the company 7 years. How did you come to join Hahn Plastics?
That's kind of an interesting story. It was very fortuitous. I've always been interested in sustainable initiatives, and green building and anything that's a positive for the environment. And I just happened to meet at an event our current GM, and at the time, or now retired, but at the time was the president of the North American operations. When I first saw the products, immediately I was intrigued by them, and when I had the conversation with the people from the company, it just very much, I felt it very much aligned with kind of who I am and what I'm interested in. So yeah, exactly. To
yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Now, I know you guys do have an extensive product line, and if we're going to go through every single product that you guys represent out there, we're going to be here a long time, no doubt about that. So are there some products that you could maybe just focus on to right now that are products that are maybe move a little bit faster for you guys, maybe have a little bit more of a potential for market here in Canada?
Sure, that is kind of a broad, yeah, it's a broad question, and just trying to narrow it down can be difficult. I can touch on, for example, just products that immediately come to mind simply because we either already have a dealer network for them established, we already know it's a popular product, and we've made some definite inroads. Some of those, I'll have to start with our most popular product, which is called a mud control grid. It's funny being in this business, you get to learn a whole bunch of different new kind of skill sets and things about different industries. I never would have known this before, but apparently in agriculture, mud is a very, very big problem, especially in the spring and the fall. I've come to discover that. And our mud control grid product it's very unique in the sense that it doesn't require any ground preparation. So the grid can simply be put down in ankle deep mud, and within literally minutes, I've done one of these installs myself, literally minutes, you could take your horse, yourself, your tractor out of mud. And so that's a real big product for us, simply because it solves a problem that no one seems to have been able to address easily. And it works.
Yeah.
And lots of people have mud.
Yeah. Well, it's important that it works too, right?
Yeah, for sure. It works very well. I think that the stat is about 21 million or more than 21 million square feet of that single product have now been installed globally.
Wow, that's incredible. And that product too, like you mentioned agricultural, but if you were to talk about in terms of the construction industry as well, like is there a percentage that you could break that down into construction and agriculture?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say predominantly, at least what I've noticed, a lot of the sales have so far gone to the agriculture, even more specifically the equestrian field. But you touch on a good point, is that the product is, you universally apply the efficacy of the product and what it solves with mud issues for a farm also to the construction industry. So I think that's an industry that's largely untapped, to be honest. Yep. Throughout Canada and the U.S., I think there's numerous applications there that we really haven't touched on yet, or really haven't been capitalized on yet. But certainly, yeah, for accessing laneways and construction sites in muddy conditions, that can be really difficult for vehicles. And there's a lot of potential for the product in that regard.
Yeah, we have used these in like on construction sites around Ontario, and the one thing I do like is that you can put them down, and instead of your contractors out there walking through mud, I mean, like, it may sound silly, but you lose a lot of production out of a guy when he's tromping through mud all day long, and you can lay these down right on top and just make a nice little pathway. The other thing I really like about it too is once you put these down, they don't have to stay there.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, they're portable, and to your point, just saving time and energy and so forth can be huge in construction projects. So, that's great to hear that you've already made some inroads in that.
Yeah, for sure. So we go from mud mats. What's another product that you guys are marketing right now that we can tell everyone about?
Sure. Well, ground reinforcement, that's a big part of our business. It encompasses a disproportionately large amount of our business relative to the number of products that we manufacture and supply. A couple of them are here. Our heavy-duty ground grid, we've got a new cobble-style paver, an open-cell grid called Hahn pave, or just a few of them. But these products I'm personally very interested in. When I first saw these products, I saw them in an application of a driveway, and someone had planted grass in one of these open-celled grids, and I just thought that was such a great idea that we could eliminate or reduce some of the need for monolithic asphalt and concrete everywhere, and help not only create more stormwater friendly, a little bit more green, but also more aesthetically pleasing driveways in this case. So even small residential projects, to me, are very interesting, using some of these open-celled grids to replace asphalt and concrete. But they do account for a large part of our business, and they're consistently used in applications that range anything from a person's walkway or a shed base or a patio to a driveway, or even on much larger scales, things like laneways, commercial parking lots, boat ramps. The list really goes on and on, but it all centers around replacing asphalt and concrete with a permeable, more environmentally friendly, entirely recycled plastic surface or component.
I don't think a lot of people realize how much runoff comes with putting concrete down or putting asphalt down, and the amount of water intake that's required from municipalities just to look after that. So putting something in like this, actually helps the system out when it's all said and done. Yeah.
For sure.
Do you guys approach municipalities in general, like just to talk to them about that fact, or is there an awareness out there of that?
I think there's definitely a growing awareness with the importance and the efficacy of permeable paving. I know some of our dealers have dealt with. I'm not sure if you folks have known, but I know some of our dealers have dealt with municipalities. Interestingly enough, actually, on that note, the city of Montreal, I believe it was the very first project we actually ever supported in Canada, is nearly 30,000 square foot laneway street project in the city of Montreal. They were looking to change an area, and they didn't want to use asphalt or concrete, and so they went with our open celled heavy duty ground grid pavers. What they've done is part of that is filled with gravel, and then another part where it's more pedestrian oriented is filled with grass seed and planted with grass, so it's green in the summer, and that is plowed by commercial plows. It's been in for over 8 years now and been very successful. So that's one, more larger scale example.
That's nice. And on that specific project, just to talk about that a little bit, when they were deciding to go with that over a conventional material, do you think it was more the fact of it being a permeable product that they were putting in, and they were addressing that issue, or how did it come in as from a cost factor? Like was it potentially more money, or did it save them money from the?
That's a good question, and it went in before I actually became involved with Hahn, so I should know a few more of the specifics, but I wasn't around when it actually went in. I do know, some of the things that they were quite interested in. One is beyond the permeable paving. They actually did like the fact that it was entirely recycled plastic.
Yeah.
I forget the statistic, but we actually quantified how much recycled plastic is in that laneway street project, and it's pretty substantial. So that was definitely a factor. No cracking. They didn't want the street to, over the period of years, end up being all cracking and not looking good. And that's, it seems commonplace with some of the concrete pavers.
Yeah. And
you don't have that with plastic. So I know long-term aesthetics were important. The 20-year warranty, I believe, was important to them because they did want longevity, and that was an element of being a plus. But I'm not sure, unfortunately, all of the reasons or the cost comparison versus other options.
So you guys offer a 20-year warranty on that specific project. Do you see the service life of that being more than 20 years though?
Very good question. Yes. So we've been around for just over 30 years, and I'm aware of some initial projects. We started with fence posts, round agricultural posts, seen some of those, and they look, I would say, at least from a photograph that I've seen in Germany, as good as day one. So, and we've got other instances where products easily last more than 20 years. So I think eventually we'll probably work on a lifetime statement. I can tell you it's 20 years, but it should, to your point, last much, much longer.
Yeah, excellent. Jeff, if you could touch on one of the products, I think this is one of my favorite products out there, is the Eco Slab. And I don't know if you have one there or anything like that, but if that's a product, maybe you could touch on for us.
Yeah, the Eco Slab is actually one of my favorites as well, and it falls in the line of the permeable paving. Kind of an innovative hardscape product. So this is an example of one of them. You can see that there's slots, and just like our heavy duty ground grids or like our cobble pavers, etc., they're suitable for 60-ton vehicles. Wow. So assuming a proper base preparation, just as you would do if you were installing, say, brick pavers in a driveway or in a parking lot, you would want to do the same thing with the Eco Slabs or other products. But yeah, I think this is a great way to. We've had some driveways done here in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, and I've seen these driveways the one's been in for, I believe it's 5.5 years now, and they look great.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to know that, you know, we have an option to take waste plastic, repurpose it or upcycle it into a finished product that is attractive and functional, and it could replace asphalt and concrete. So it's the Eco Slab is versatile and it's quite innovative.
Yeah. When you're putting that down, and let's say you're putting it down over a gravel prepared substrate, are you considering that a permeable application as well?
Yes, so you would want to ensure that the base is not only conducive for supporting, say, vehicle traffic, depending on the use, but also allows for water drainage. Some of our products, like the open-celled heavy-duty ground grid, or like our hand pave or paddock slab, those are considered porous because a majority of the surface allows for, you know, almost the entire runoff of water or permeability of the water, whereas the Eco Slab would be considered more permeable.
Okay.
It allows for elements of drainage.
Okay. And for the Eco Slab and applying it, like you're saying, like a prepared substrate, can I put that over, let's say I have a cruddy old concrete patio in my backyard or something like that. Is that something I could just go right over top of the concrete with?
Honestly, for the longevity of the project, I wouldn't do that. I think just properly setting and preparing the base would be a better idea to ensure the longevity of it. Also ensuring that the ground is completely leveled. You know, I'm just picturing what you just said in my mind, and if the ground is all
heaving,
uneven. Also, I mean, it is plastic, so there could be an element of them sliding just a little bit. I think for a temporary application, absolutely you can do that. One of the big opportunities with this type of product is for temporary, like events. It could be like event space surfacing, or it could be overflow parking, anything where you either need people or vehicles to be on a stable surface. So if it was the case where there was an outdoor event and they just wanted to cover up some really unattractive, you know, concrete, and as long as it was level, I don't see why you can't do that. But I would properly prepare the base for a permanent application.
Yeah, and I actually have seen a couple of pictures. In fact, one of our employees who got married a couple of years ago actually used those and put them down for their tent that they're having out in the backyard there. So they actually used the Eco Slab for that application, and it turned out really well. And I have seen numerous pictures of that product being used and stuff like that. And anything new? I see the cobblestone that you got in the background there too. Is that you want to touch on that?
Sure. Yeah. This cobble paver actually is one of my personal favorite products. This is about 15 pounds of recycled plastic. That's about 2.69 square feet in size, and to me, it's a decorative, easy to lay, fast to lay product for any kind of ground reinforcement. It could be for a walkway, it could be for a commercial parking lot. I mean, you could go from just foot traffic all the way up to very heavy vehicle traffic, and this product is suitable for that. With the design, it again allows for fermentation of water, so it's stormwater friendly. And to me, it's just again a much more visually appealing and much more sustainable alternative to concrete and asphalt.
Yeah. Are you guys? Do you guys approach the like the engineering community and the architects, and are you guys actively pursuing those avenues to get these products, out there before the job starts?
Yeah, we've certainly sent our information to and had we've had conversations with and interactions with numerous architectural firms. We're commonly spec'd in right now. I know we're spec'd in on several jobs that are going on in around Ontario. So for sure, some of the firms do know about us, and in numerous cases, they're on their third, fourth, maybe even more time spec'ing us in. So as more and more people use our product, awareness increases. Even enhances the ability to produce and generate more and more projects.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like you are getting some acceptance out there in the community.
For sure.
Yeah, right on. But maybe you can touch on the the profiles themselves, maybe touch on like the different profiles that you have, maybe a cost, what the cost would be compared to a conventional pressure treated substructure for a deck, and maybe some stuff like that.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and yeah, that's a good question, because our beams, like our lumber and various beam profiles offer, I believe, an exceptional opportunity within projects like everything from decks, patio decks, to docks, to even commercial boardwalks. With regards to, the decking industry, as you well know, even better than I do, the decking industry has changed considerably over the last 30 years. Whereas, 30 years ago, essentially, nearly all decks were made of wood. Whereas today, there is a significant percentage of those decks that are made of composite materials. So, meaning, I'm just generalizing, but a lot of times a composite is a plastic and, say, wood or other organic kind of material combined. And so what that does is it creates a much longer lasting, less maintenance, perhaps more attractive decking surface. But in a lot of cases, they're still putting those, and these boards typically have a long warranty, 20, 25, maybe even more years. But in a lot of cases, those composite deck boards are still put on top of pressure treated wood.
Yeah.
And so, as you well know, and many people know, wood in a damp environment or wood touching the ground generally doesn't perform that well over a long period of time. It's going to rot, it's going to splinter, it's eventually going to decay. So to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put a deck board that has a 25-year warranty on top of a pressure treated substructure that may rot out in 15 years.
Yeah.
And so that's where there's a real opportunity to be replacing substructures, again, whether it be residential all the way up to commercial, with recycled plastic. And that's been another, coming back to an earlier question, that's been another popular product, and what we see is a very much a growing market. In Europe, I know that we have some quite large customers that have done exceptionally well with starting to normalize recycled plastic for a substructure instead of wood. And I see that same trend as awareness and education continues in North America. I see that market being extremely large. And it just serves as a perfect complement to those composite deck boards, with maintenance free and longevity, etc.
Yeah.
Just as a composite deck board is more than a cedar deck board, our product would be a premium as well. So our product is definitely going to be more than your bare bones cedar plank. I would say roughly it's going to be mid-range composite. I know there's some composite products that have a low end price, and then there's some that have a very high. I would say ours would be mid, maybe to slightly lower in the composite price range.
So I know we've had this conversation before. So let's say I'm building my my substructure for my deck out of recycled plastic that's supplied by you guys. What about what if I'm running into an inspector that's inspecting the job? Like, where do we have any issues with inspectors, or do we have approvals to use a material? Or that's always going to be a question that's going to come up.
Sure. My area of expertise is not in that, and I know depending upon who's listening to this and where they're located, there could be some subtle differences in design legalities. My understanding is that if the deck is under 2 feet off the ground, then you do not need an engineer to sign off. And so, our products are perfect in that kind of environment anyway, because if it's lower to the ground, the conditions are going to be damp, wood's inevitably going to rot out. But that being said, we do have all the material test data and all the information to hand to an engineer should a sign-off be required. So either way, there's lots of options and lots of ways to make things work. I'm not sure if you want me to get into it, but I will just touch on some of the performance characteristics in that kind of application versus wood. One of the advantages wood does have is that wood, being fibrous, has the ability to span a greater distance unsupported. And so it's common to have, say, 8 or 10 foot spacings with the decking substructure. With our material, I would say you're going to need to tighten those spacings depending upon if this is a commercial or a residential deck. But let's just say those spacings, I'm going to just generalize and say maybe closer to 6 feet. But, with the caveat of not knowing what the exact purpose of the project or the design is.
Yeah.
So the substructure may be a little bit bulkier than it would be if it was made of wood, just because plastic's inability to span as great a distance. But other than that, the performance characteristics, you can cut it, you can drill it. And unlike some composite products, you can sink this in the ground, you can sink it in seawater or fresh water, and there's no risk of mold, no risk of decompensation over, even decades.
Yeah.
So lots of advantages.
Yeah. When you're adding those, the extra material into the recycled plastic substructure, I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything that's going to be earth-shattering from an expense point of view. Anyways, like if you're talking about going from 8 feet to 6 feet, we're not talking like a huge difference here. Anyways.
Right. But it is just an important, subtle characteristic to understand. We have within our catalog and on our website, we have lots of tips and information that help people with these kinds of things, just understanding the material, because I think one of the biggest the biggest points with all this, beyond awareness when people discover it, is just having that a little bit of education to best understand how the products can work and how they might perform different than concrete or wood or essentially traditional materials that people are used to working with. Once you understand those subtleties, then it's very simple to use it, just as it is with anything else.
Yeah. Do you find the quality of pressure-treated lumber that's being used for substructures, like pressure-treated just doesn't seem to be what it used to be? And whether they're harvesting trees a little bit too young at this point in time or whatever the case may be. But I've always found that the quality of pressure-treated these days is probably not as good as what it was, say, 15 years ago. I got to think that that's helping you guys out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. Yeah. Wood is not my area of specialty, but I certainly hear from contractors and other folks all the time, to your point about fast growth forests and how that changes the performance dynamics of wood, and how it essentially, just summing it up, has decreased in a lot of cases the lifespan of a lot of the wood today.
Like, how do your products promote sustainability, and like what would Hahn Plastics, what's their view on that?
Sure, that's a good question. So it's important to note, again, as we've kind of touched on, our products are not a composite. That is a common question that we get: is this a composite product? So what that means is our product is entirely made from recycled plastic, primarily low and high density polyethylene. So think anything from like plastic bags or plastic film to water bottle caps or maybe the back of a cell phone or something of that nature. So from a sustainability point, we're using entire waste plastic stream, no virgin plastic, and that also makes the product at the end of its eventual life cycle 100% recyclable.
Okay.
So if in 50 years we wanted to grind this piece of lumber up and turn it into an eco slab, we have the capacity to do that. With composite products, to my knowledge, you cannot separate, at least the technology today, cannot separate those wood fibers and the plastic. 30 years after that composite board is done, there's a high probability, again, at least at this stage of the game, that's going to end up in a landfill. So our products embrace the circular economy. Plastic can be recycled numerous times. There's various statistics on this. I've heard anywhere from 20 to 40 times.
Wow. And
each time you're going to get quite the amount of longevity out of each of those. And so we're reusing and repurposing a material that's already out there. And I guess the other angle is that when you do your deck in recycled plastic, or you do your driveway in recycled plastic, we're repurposing and consuming material that we already have, and that then negates the need to cut down trees to make a wooden deck or produce more concrete. So it negates the use of other raw materials by repurposing an existing raw material that does have a lot of benefits and attributes for longevity and low maintenance.
Yeah. With the product being recyclable, are there places that we can take these materials at a later point in time?
Yeah, and to your point, you're right. You wouldn't be throwing this piece of lumber into your blue box. it would need to go to a special facility that we can regrind this back up into small enough form, and then it's just fed back into the machine.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice, actually touching on that point, we really don't have any defect products, if you will, simply because if this board is somehow misproduced in the mold, we can just grind it back up and throw it right back into the machine to produce another product. So we're really not even producing any waste.
Does Hahn Plastics yourselves, do you guys take material back?
We do take material back. That's a good question.
Oh, so, you do? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So if someone was building a deck and they had some offcuts and they want to send them back to us, we can and will take those pieces back.
So you offer a program for doing that anyways.
Yeah.
Which Canadian industries are driving the most demand for Hahn's products right now at this point in time?
Sure. I think there's just a few come to mind. For example, the mud control grid. So right now we found the agricultural industry, both in Canada and the U.S., especially in the spring and fall, creates a lot of demand for that product. Our pavers, like I say, because people are already familiar with hardscaping and some of our products already look like existing products, those are real growth markets for us, and I foresee those only getting bigger and bigger as more people realize that these are actually available and that you can drive on recycled plastic. We make some real inroads, not only in North America but globally, with one of our niche industrial products, which is a biofilter flooring system. Essentially, it's a raised floor that is used to clean dirty air and wastewater treatment plants.
Wow.
That's been a big product for us. Other things like, we touched on kind of decking and substructures, but just on the commercial end of things or the public end of things, boardwalks. There's been numerous cities and parks that are replacing their wooden boardwalks using our not only substructure pieces, but they're also using our anti-slip design.
And I was going to say, Jeff, if you could just touch on the slip resistance of that deck board, because I think that's a very important factor for people to know.
Sure. Yeah. In fact, a quick story: the city of Mississauga was looking to replace. They had replaced a wooden boardwalk right on the forest floor. The area where this is located it's sheltered by trees. It's near a stream. It's semi-prone to flooding at certain times of the year. So they had to get rid of the wood. So my understanding was they got rid of the wood. They used a composite product on top, but it was too slippery. And they came to us specifically they liked the idea that it was recycled plastic, so they already knew that it was hard wearing and it would last, in the damp or moist environment. But quite honestly, the biggest point for them was the anti-slip design of our footpath planks. And that's led to several other projects in Mississauga as a result of them being happy with that first one that was installed fall of 2019. So that's a real key component of our decking is the anti-slip characteristic.
Yeah, you gotta think that word of that's going to travel throughout that industry as well. I know the municipal guys always get together and talk about new things that are out there and new trends. Do you find anywhere in Canada adopting recycled plastic materials like these over other areas?
I think British Columbia, even though we're located in Ontario, we're pleased with some of the business that we're doing out in BC, and perhaps that's because, BC is perceived or is to a degree a little bit more green conscious than perhaps other areas of Canada. So being a little bit more progressive, I think we found, even though we're located in Ontario, we've been happy with some of the results that we're getting with products going out to BC and them wanting to use our material. That seems to be something that comes up, ironically, when you do talk to people out there, that they do like the sustainability and the recycled plastic angle to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Other than that, I would say within Ontario, because we're close and it's easier for us to meet with in person and educate sometimes, the closer they are to you. So obviously Southwestern Ontario has been a good market as well. Yeah.
Do you guys have distribution out in British Columbia at this point in time?
We do. So, making so many products, our dealers would never represent our entire catalog. They usually just represent, maybe 1 or 3 or 5 of our products. And so we certainly do have a few of those out in BC. It's very exciting. Like, I get excited even just thinking about it, that, here we've got this massive product line where we're one of Europe's largest manufacturers of 100% recycled plastic products, and so we've got this history of performance and success and know-how behind us. Yet we're still relatively new in North America and most markets here, and so it's just a matter of, one, awareness. People don't know this is an option, that we exist, and then two, once they discover us, it's just answering some of these common and simple questions to provide a little bit of education. That's where it starts. And then once you get that first project, it could be the first boardwalk, the first parking lot, the first deck, that just leads to the next one and the one after that. And it's very, very exciting time.
Yeah. Is there much competition in this space when it's all said and done? Or would you consider yourselves the leader in this field?
Yeah, that's another good point. There's definitely competition, which is nice to see, because that shows that there's demand for these types of products.
Yeah.
So, when other companies are also doing this, it's because the market is wanting them. And just answering your question, I find that some of the companies that are making recycled plastic products, they do perhaps a good job of making residential patio furniture.
Yeah.
Or they might do a good job of making some utility lumber, or they might, do a good job of making some outdoor picnic tables and things of that nature.
Yeah.
The strength with Hahn is we're selective with the type of waste plastic that we're using, and so being selective with the type of waste plastic we're using helps to provide the performance characteristics we want out of the product. When it's being used, say, as a substructure in a deck or a boardwalk, or say as it's being used in a paver. And then the other element is, I think, our broad line. Because we make so many products, we're operating in so many potential markets and industries. It gives us a real advantage, because we can pivot and we can go here and go there, and there's really no limit to what we can kind of do. If I had to generalize, I would say that we're best suited for commercial and industrial types of work. There's some companies making recycled plastic patio furniture that do a phenomenal job and make some really incredible pieces, and that's really not our market. We're not trying to operate in that market. We're more looking for, with the furniture, for example, that we would manufacture to service the town or the park that wants to stick this piece out. They don't want to have to maintain it. It needs to be very heavy duty and last 20 years.
If there's one thing you want our listeners to remember about Hahn Plastics and the future of recycled products, recycled plastic products, what would that be?
Sure. Yeah, I think one thing to keep in mind with what we're doing is, as we create demand for waste, it helps to incentivize the infrastructure for recycling. And so every time a boardwalk is put in, or a biofilter floor is put in, or a parking lot is put in, whatever the case may be, we're creating demand for thousands, in some cases many thousands of pounds of waste plastic, which again, helps to support the infrastructure within recycling. And so it's great to know that Hahn is a part of that in creating quality products that inevitably use waste material and embrace a circular economy. So that's just one of the many things that reinforces my belief in what we're doing and makes me proud of the products that we manufacture.
How do people get a hold of Hahn Plastics when it's all said and done? You have some contact information, website that you can tell us?
Sure, yeah, just go to www.hanit, that's HANIT.ca, or you can contact us at 519-218-8800. And if you're looking for products, we would put you in touch with the nearest dealer, like, for example, you folks at Advanced Building, for products that you folks carry. Or if there's no dealer, then we'll definitely still be able to assist you.
Okay, sounds good. I thought that was a pretty good go around, and thanks for coming on out and doing this today, and really appreciate it. And I personally really love the product line, and hopefully we can continue to make it grow and make it strong.